Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale, ohaya gozaimasu, guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, haleshuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, bhalli kiraya, hosh gelden. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning on a very fine, bright, sunny morning over here, ladies and gentlemen, in Islamabad. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and with me, I'm very happy to actually introduce one of the most learned colleagues I've ever had, ladies and gentlemen. She happens to be Miss Hajra Sati. Hello, Hajra. Jummah Mubarak. How are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I think I feel great. I'm on top of my energy, and it's because of the fact that the kind of discussion we're going to have today is going to be for the majority of the youngsters who are out there as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, you really need to kind of just sit tight, make sure that you're having your breakfast or a cup of tea or coffee, whatever helps you in waking up. So, please make sure that you do that, because first, I think we will get started with some good news as well, or probably, I don't know whether it's going to be good news or, but some sort of news. You know, because we want our audiences to be well aware of what's going to happen or what was happening. So, this is something which obviously we think are forte. But what about you? How was it yesterday? Because I wasn't around.
Yes, it was great, and we were missing you. And how is it possible that you have such amazing energy every passing day? Please share some secret tips.
All right, I would surely do that. So what happens is that there are occasions and there are times when you certainly do not feel very on top of your energy.
That's
but as soon as that red light goes on and my producer says, hey, you know what, cue, action, or whatever the cue word is, and I'm like, okay, just give it your best. So I always try to push myself harder. And there's a secret to it as well. So for example, if I'm supposed to do this show, so the first 2 hours, while I was in the office, while I was working, while I was doing the paperwork, I'll just stay quiet. I will preserve my energy, and once, my producer is going to unleash me, I'll be like, hey, you know what, hey, here we are. Well, what about you? How do you preserve your energy and then throw it out?
That's nice. Of course, like you said, when the red light goes out, so, we have to be a different self here, and then be a very different self, behind the camera. So now it's Friday, right? Jummah Mubarak. And as
we said it together, we should pray for something.
Yeah.
I do not believe in it, but you should always pray.
Yes, that's true. Shahzad, I told you a few days ago, I was reading Allama Iqbal's book, Reconstruction of Islamic Political Thought. It's good. It's good. And I came across a very interesting verse of Holy Quran, and I would want you to share with you, especially on the Friday.
Sure.
So that verse says, verily we propose to heaven, to earth, and to mountains to receive the trust, but they refused the burden, and they were feared to receive it.
We received it, right?
Yes. Man alone undertook to bear it, but had proved unjust and sensible. So, I never, understand what is the meaning of that, because it has some sort of, cryptic meaning inside it, right? So, Allama Iqbal says that this means that man never goes in search of who we are, in search of the spiritual journey. How many of us go to that? Because we're so busy in, in our professional lives and, seeking this thing, that thing, sometimes in the quest of materialism too, right?
Yeah.
But Allama Iqbal says that's why we were created, to know who we are, right? Yeah. And we have to die one day, and for that we live our entire lives out there. So there must be some purpose behind it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And that purpose is obviously for the ibadah as well. But then, imagine the coincidence that while I was in Lahore just yesterday, so somebody actually shared the same verse from Holy Quran with me as well. And they said that, that it was the humans who took the responsibility of making sure that we will make Allah happy, because all of these other mountains, hills, whatever we were talking about, ladies and gentlemen, really didn't have that courage. And that was the kind of conversation which angels did have with Allah Almighty, that hey, why are you even creating somebody who's not even as good as we are? And that was the core element. So that was the purpose of us being over here as well. So Jummah Mubarak to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure that you remember me, Hajra, our entire team, the entire Pakistani nation, population as well, that we stay healthy and wealthy. Yeah, that's what we want. I surely want to be wealthy. What's your idea or ideology of being wealthy?
Wealthy. Also, I think satisfaction comes in a big time in my equation of being, wealthy. So if you are satisfied, if you are, contented with the life, then I think everything is fine.
Wow, that's wonderful. And somewhere in between the conversation, I'm going to start this conversation all over again as well. But first up, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what news updates we have for our audiences in 46 different countries. First up.
Right. So, Prime Minister gave an address yesterday to the nation, and he said that he will not allow any international conspiracy to succeed and will fight till the last ball, right?
And you know what, Hajra, in his live address to the nation, the Prime Minister even said that the threat letter stated that Pakistan will have to face consequences if he survives no confidence motion.
Right, that is something, very serious. And he then further said that people will not forget that the opposition tried to topple the government through an international conspiracy, which is a very serious thing. And he also said that the fate of the nation will be decided on Sunday because we are going to have vote of no confidence.
Tough times for the government, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, I think that, everything which has been happening so far, I would certainly want to reserve my comments on that.
Right.
Because we're a morning show. I'm a non-political kid and bachche gair siyasi hi achhe lagte hain.
I think everything is political, no, Shehzad?
Well, to some
Right.
extent, I think everything is. But then it totally is your decision whether you want to attach yourself with it or you want to detach yourself with it. But whatever's
And
going to
definitely
happen,
we are a morning show person.
I think all I'm going to pray for is that whatever is good for Pakistan and Pakistanis,
that's
that's something which should happen in near future as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, we do say that we really need to remember all of our heroes who've given us some good memories, people from the arts industry, maybe somebody who was a great developer, people who've contributed towards the society. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually observing the death anniversary of the renowned poet and lyricist Masoon Anwar Saab. And to be very honest, he was one of those people who actually came up with the song Coco Karina. And I still love the song. What about you? You know the lyrics?
That's true. It's lovely song, and I think these songs are so immemorial. That like you always whenever you listen to them, you always want to listen to them.
So, do you know the lyrics?
Yes, I do.
मेरे ख्यालों पर छाई है एक सूरत मत वाली सी नाजुक सी शर्मीली सी मासूम सी भोली वाली सी रहती है वो दूर कहीं अता पता मालूम नहीं कोको कोरीना Coco Corina. Yes, we kind of grew up with that. And I think that these were the songs because earlier when we never had a cassette player or something of that sort as well, these were the songs which were being aired on PTV. And we as kids would dance to that as well. Oh yeah, Coco Corina is on. Let's do that. Dad, please don't change it. Well, in fact, there was no other channel as well. We didn't have options. But yes, moving on. Now, I think is the news which I will take over. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously after 24 long years, Australia came down to Pakistan. We lost the Test series by 1-0 because there were 2 matches which were draw as well. But just yesterday, Pakistan created history by chasing the highest ever score in one-day international, which was 348. And Australia obviously did a great job. May it be Travis Head, may it be McDermott, may it be Labuschagne, may it be Stoinis. Everybody did contribute, but Pakistan was on a very different tangent and they had a very different dimension to the game where early on Fakhar Zaman put in a brilliant more than 60 runs as well, and then coming down Imamullah, they are making his 9th one-day international century, and then the skipper himself giving away a 15th one-day international century as well, and then Rizwan coming down the lane, and then Iftikhar finishing the match as well, and Khushdil, obviously we cannot actually forget Shaheen Shah taking 4 wickets. But to be very honest, I think this is something which was needed. I think that the body language will be changed now, and tomorrow obviously, Hajra, it's going to be the decider for the 3rd one-day international, ladies and gentlemen, which will be taking place at Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore. I don't know whether there needs to be a little bit of change in the squad. I'm going to go with the same squad because if they have done it now, they will do it again.
Right. And I think we are a very cricket-loving nation, So just the arrival of the Australian cricket team is, just enough to make us so much happy and, to cheer them up. And no matter, whoever wins, I think the sportsman spirit thrives on, right?
Yeah, true. And you know what? I surely can see that you're supporting Australia all the way.
I was thinking, that you're going to say that at some point because it is totally, coincident.
Because earlier what happened when I started the show, I thought, hey, you know what? I should introduce you as my very yellow colleague. But then I was like, okay, hold it. Let me come down to Australia.
I think it's just the spring season and I'm wearing yellow. It has nothing to do with it.
It's great. And you look fantastic as well. You're wearing some nice shoes as well.
Thank you.
And this is one thing which I wanted to kind of talk about as well. Most of the times what happens is that, even I make this mistake as well, that these days, we are so materialistic that every time somebody's going to walk in and they look wonderfully awesome and they look handsome or they look pretty, what we do is we say, oh, you know what, tumhara dupatta bahut acha hai. Oh, tumhare joote bahut achhe hain. Why don't we actually compliment the person who's wearing it? Yeah, you look good, you look fantastic, your energy looks on top. I think that, we should have this culture where we give compliments rather than giving compliments to things who cannot even talk back.
Right. That's an interesting way to look back at the things,
So you look good.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I wanted to say. So getting started with how many youngsters do we have over here in Pakistan?
I think they're 68% of that, and that's a demographic gift that we have in Pakistan,
Yeah.
right?
Only if we utilize it.
Yes, yes. Otherwise, they become a ticking bomb, right?
True.
If you do not guide them, if you do not utilize their resources in the right direction, and we have seen such kind of problems in the globally, in different societies there. So also, Shahzad, we were talking about the youth and millennials. Yesterday you were not here, and I would like to point out, a report by United Nations, a World Youth report, which said that young people constitute heterogeneous group with multiple identities. Young with disabilities, young people from minority groups, and young female, and they face intersectional discrimination. And we have a very vibrant Prime Minister who is always focusing on youth, and he is making sure.
Mere Naujawano.
Yes, he always addressed like that. And also I think he's a sportsman, he's a former cricket captain, so that sort of energy also springs inside him, and we can always see him whenever he's addressing that, and he has crafted a very vibrant and comprehensive policy for the young people.
And to kind of build up on that, ladies and gentlemen, so Kamyab Jawan program was launched, and obviously at the backdrop of it was to kind of make sure that we encourage the youngsters to do well in life as well. There was Kamyab Jawan loans, there was so many different schemes, which obviously we have been joined by the entire team, because the senior advisor, ladies and gentlemen, to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs, Usman Dar Sahab, has taken up this challenge, and he made sure to kind of create a difference and bring about that change which we needed for our youngsters. We obviously do not have a lot of facilities, a lot of grounds, a lot of places where we can go and kind of help ourselves in a holistic grooming or that culture as well. So imagine, the mission was to kind of fill in the sports grounds as well, where we make sure that we are a resilient nation. We really need to make sure that we are a healthier nation as well. And then when we talk about 68% of the total population, they really need to engage somewhere, and that somewhere needs to be a common platform for people where everybody comes together, may them be from any walk of life. So imagine, ladies and gentlemen, back in 2020, I guess, or 2021, on the 6th of December, the Kamyab Jawan Sports Drive was launched over here at Sports Complex. A lot of people were there. Imran Khan Sahab, the Prime Minister himself, inaugurated. And then from there onwards, the journey went on. So imagine what they have done is that they have actually made sure that they are going to help all of those people who have this passion for sports. So imagine if you talk about Inam Bhatt Sahab, who's a kabaddi player, and he's a world-renowned kabaddi player. So he's been adopted as the ambassador for kabaddi as well. Not just that, we're talking about Talha Talib, when we talk about weightlifting. Then there's this bus which is going everywhere. So all you need to do is register for the Kamyab Jawan Sports Drive, and then you can probably participate and make sure that you bring good name to Pakistan. Imagine, not just that. So I'm sorry, but I've done this program, so I have to
and also, Shahzad, one important thing that I would like to add is that the Liverpool star Michael Owen is also on board.
For football, yes. For football, even he's, and we will be sharing images, ladies and gentlemen, because we really want to give you all sorts of proofs as well. In addition to that, the Kamyab Jawan program actually did an MOU signing with Lahore Qalandars as well, where they wanted to bring or give a platform to people who are into esports, because esports now is being officially recognized by the Commonwealth Games and the Asian Games as well. And they have promised me on my program on BDV Sports that they will bring Pakistan gold medals in esports as well, which I believe was brilliant. Not just that, ladies and gentlemen, I think this very initiative where we are trying to fill in the parks rather than any other, because these days, even if you go to a school, they wouldn't even have a ground for kids. So how do you think that all of that mental, physical development is going to take place, and that too with discipline? So we're very lucky.
Especially after the COVID, it is very imperative to have some, agility, to refresh something, that should refresh our mind, and sports can, beautifully fill that gap.
Exactly, just going to the gym, lifting 100 kgs on your bench press, ladies and gentlemen, would not let you think about anything in life which is bothering you. At that very moment, you'll only think about,
Shahzad can deeply feel that, right?
Something like that. And in addition to that, imagine, so, for all of those people who never had a skill or never had the opportunity to go to school or university, imagine that, the vocational trainings are going on as well, and that too in different institutions. So with the Kamyab Jawan Sports Drive, I hope I do not give everything away. So there are 12 sports for men and then 10 for women, and then all the universities are participating in it as well, where they will give us the facilities, and High Performances Center will be built. Where, how, when, what's happening is something which the entire team will answer us today as well. And I know for sure Usman Dar Sahab is watching right now. He said that, I'm going to keep a strong eye on my team. So let's see how they perform under the auspices of Mr. Usmanda, who happens to be the senior advisor to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky. The gentleman himself bearing the flag, he is the Deputy Secretary Kamyab Jawan Program. He is Dr. Muhammad Ali Malik. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. Good morning. Thank you very much for having the Kamyab Jawan team on your show.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Wonderful to have you. Very quickly, before I introduce the other members as well, how different it is for you to be on PTV Sports and PTV World?
You were the common person over the boys' show, and you were excellent over there as well. So I think I will talk about some in a more casual way and try to explain about the Kamyab Jawan, what we are doing under the leadership of Usman Dar Sahab.
MashaAllah, Zabardast, sir. And him, obviously, you know, under the leadership of Prime Minister Imran Khan Sahab as well. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen. So she was that person who was coordinating with me while Dr. Sahab and Usman Dar Sahab was supposed to be on my show as well. Did a great job, you know, gave me all the content we required, and she happens to be the program lead for Kamyab Jawan program as well. She happens to be Miss Anila Khwaja. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum.
Well, Sam, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
How do you feel?
Good, great.
Is it your first ever television interview?
Well, it's my second actually,
Second?
so slightly nervous.
So best of luck, you know, it's all right, you know, we'll make sure that you really do not feel any sort of nervousness as well. Towards the end, ladies and gentlemen, obviously where we spoke about vocational trainings and skill sets impartation as well, let's talk about Mr. Atif Mahmood, who happens to be the technical advisor on skills. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam and good morning.
So thank you very much for joining us. And it's wonderful to have the entire team over here. So first things first, Dr. Saab, we'll get started with you because you happen to be the flag bearer for Kamyab Jawan program. And when we talk about Usman Dar Sahab, since he's not here, so you are the one who's taking charge today. Tell us a little about it and then what's happening, what has happened so far, because we go back in 2021. You said before the show that we, in fact, initiated it in 2019.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Actually, as you mentioned earlier, that 68% of our population is below 30 years. It means around 150 million people, young people. So Pakistan is a young country. So this was very much, this was a top priority of our current government. And as you said, that Prime Minister Imran Khan always said that youth is the biggest asset of the Pakistan, which can take forward this country. So Kamyab Jawan program was designed keeping in view a strategic direction set under the National Youth Development Framework, where we identified 3 core areas of education, employment and engagement, that how we can create opportunities for our young people. So the first initiative we launched in 2019 October was Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, where we are giving business loans to our young entrepreneurs. We want our young people to become job creators rather than job seekers. So far we have distributed around 43 billion rupees among our young entrepreneurs. And particularly we are also focusing on our women entrepreneurs as well.
Right.
So that was the first initiative. Then we have this Skills for All program where we are giving skill scholarship to our young people. And then obviously the engagement initiatives, sports and talent hunt drive, and then green youth movement.
So let's talk about the Kamyab Jawan sports drive as well. You know, the inauguration ceremony which took place on the 6th of December 2021.
With much fanfare. The Prime Minister was also present there.
Yeah, have you seen the passion over there?
We have the visuals as well, so we'll be sharing those visuals. Yeah, please go ahead.
So we launched that on 6th December last year, and that was huge. And we have seen the enthusiasm of the young people who really want to be engaged, participated, and wanted to have the opportunities for sports. So we launched that, and we have 12 sports, as you mentioned earlier, for boys and 10 for the girls. And right now we are into the trial phase of wrestling and weightlifting.
All right.
And Tala Talib and Inam Bhatt, they are brand ambassadors for that for these 2 sports. So these were amazing scenes over there. The energy was phenomenal, and we were all getting those vibes, the positive energy in that event as well. So like the energy we have right now with you, we are getting the energy from you.
And sir, you know, to be very honest, it's not because that I work for PTV. I think that in my life, I've seen the first ever incumbent government to actually kind of put so much emphasis and focus on the youngsters of the country as well, because it was required in the first place. And then obviously we'd never had such a policy in place where the schools were actually kind of directed by the government that everybody needs to actually have a playground or some sort of sports going on. So I think this was required. And obviously, so you were talking about Inam Bhatt Sahab, who happens to be the wrestling brand ambassador. He actually represented Pakistan in the Olympics as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how you support your heroes. And so now, obviously, there won't be any unsung heroes because of the fact that we have Kamyab Jawan program, and they've done such a brilliant job. Moving on to Anila over here. So Anila, you happen to be the program lead. What responsibility do you share, and how do you contribute towards Kamyab Jawan program?
Right, so basically, first of all, I'd just like to say that we're all really grateful to our SAPM, Usman Dar, for leading this program.
Thank you so much.
And he's done a phenomenal job, and that's why we're all here.
True.
And he's actually empowered us and given us the opportunity to given me the opportunity to, head something that I'm really passionate about.
Wonderful.
So, so Kamyab Jawan Sports Drive. It's a fantastic program, and it's there basically for our athletes.
All right.
It's very athlete-centric. So where they've been neglected for decades now, and sports has been neglected for a while now in Pakistan. So this is something where we're looking at the athlete itself and sort of making people aware that these are our national heroes.
Right.
We're having, for each of our sports, we've got ambassadors that actually, like for example, Inam and Thala, they're from Gujranwala.
Yeah.
And that's where we've started our weightlifting and wrestling. And that went on for the whole of March, and it was a huge success.
And you guys were going door to door as well. I saw this bus which was going door to door and making sure that people could register.
Yep, absolutely. And if anyone wants to register, they just go onto our website, which is a kamyabjawan.gov.pk website, and they register on our dashboard.
Right.
All the sports are available, both for females and male. And then they just register, and then they find out when the sport's going to be taking place, and they come to the venue.
And for how long the registrations are open, so let's talk about it in detail, because there might be a lot of youngsters out there who might want to register but might not even know about it by far. So let's do that. So
Sure.
kamyabjawan.gov.pk is the website, and then
Absolutely.
you log on to that, and then you go and register in the sports you want to.
Yeah, so there's a separate component for the sports drive. So they go into that and they look at what sport they want to register for.
All right.
They can go for all 12 if they want. So it's up to you what sport you want to sort of follow. Or if you're talented in all of them, you have a go. And then so you register, and then you wait when we announce the date for the next sport.
And so then what's going to happen is that, obviously, so the coaches get to do the shortlisting, and then we will have competition on the regional level, then on national levels,
Yeah.
and then we will be competing on international level. I think that the most important part over here is that for all of those sports associations and boards who might not have done anything by far or contributed to Pakistan's gold medalist, how do you bring them on the same page as well? I think that's the most important, because even maybe any federation, association, or a board, they might not have contributed the way we are thinking over here in terms of Kamyab Jawan programs. How do you sort that out?
So basically, we're trying to create a sustainable sports ecosystem, and that means that we're trying to everybody who's got anything to do with sport in Pakistan, be it the federations, be it whichever organization, the Olympic Association, whatever, we have them all on board. Right. So we're in touch with all of them, be it at provincial level, the sports ministers, whoever that person is. We're in touch with them. We're working together with them. So we're meeting the federation heads as well. With IPC ministry as well, we're working with them as well. So it's just like we're trying to create a system where everybody is welcome to join in, and sort of we want everyone to join hands.
And how many people have registered so far?
Do we know the numbers?
It's around, I think, more than 27,000.
27,000.
27,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge number, ladies and gentlemen. This is your golden opportunity to represent Pakistan. Please make sure that you give in and give it your best as well. Let's move on to Adil Saab. So Adil Saab, this is for me, this is for the very first time that I've heard that there was this vocational training program as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Please brief us a little about that. And our audiences as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, as Dr. Ali Saab mentioned that in 2019, government formulated National Youth Development Framework. So one of the core objective of NYDF was to empower youth through skills development.
All right.
So accordingly, the government formulated National Skills Strategy, Skills for All strategy, Under the Skills for All strategy, there were basically two aims. One, to uplift the quality and capacity of the TVET sector, technical education sector in Pakistan. And secondly, to provide opportunities to youth for skills development. So this Kamyab Jawan Skills for All program, which is implemented by National Vocational Technical Training Commission, is partnered with over 800 institutions across Pakistan. And from those 800 institutions, there are 180 universities. Then there are some private sector enterprises like companies who are offering on-the-job training. And then there are some public and private sector technical education institutions. And for the first time in history, under Kamyab Jawan Skills for All program, we are offering high-tech training programs.
Wow.
Like artificial intelligence, PLC, robotics, programming,
And
Android app
what
development.
are the prerequisites to enroll yourself in the vocational training program?
Well, there are 150 different courses.
Okay.
And every course has a different requirement. Like, for example, if you want to get
Artificial
training
intelligence, for
in
example.
artificial intelligence, at least you need to have a bachelor degree in IT.
All right.
Similarly, if you want to enroll in a robotic course, you need to have a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. So similarly, if you want to enroll in a hospitality related or tourism related course, so you need to have a different qualification like intermediate or simple bachelor. So
And
that's how it works.
And I think also adding to the conversation, Shahzad, there was a huge gap in our vocational training, especially in Pakistan. You know, because people go for the degrees and for the bachelors and for the masters, and they're not actually going for the vocational training. And I think that's very appreciable that someone.
All right, and it's the need of the hour as well, and we will definitely continue with that. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually heading out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning. We're producing 5 million kids every year. We'll talk about that.
Welcome back. We were having a very wonderful conversation, with a very comprehensive program that Prime Minister has crafted around the youth and the Kamyab Jawan program. So I would like to throw this question to Ms. Anila here. So Ms. Alina, what are the advantages of sports and leveraging the especially the challenges of the social development?
So obviously, I think everybody knows that positive engagement for the youth is what is needed here. If you've got such a huge number, 68% of your population plus as youth, then we've got to be the ones that provide opportunities for them. And positive engagement is, I think, one of the biggest things that we need to look at. So that, I mean, sadly, there's a lot of youth that are not doing anything, right? So that's why this sports drive is a great thing, because there's also a lot of sports talent out there, and you know, they're all hidden. So this is going to be a way of sort of discovering new talent. You know, a healthy body, a healthy mind, you know, you're kind of more engaged in things where if it's positive stuff, it kind of also, your energy gets used in the right manner, and then you don't get sort of caught in the sort of other negative sort of stuff that goes on as well with the youth. So, so this is a great advantage. This is a great thing for just engaging youth and giving them the opportunity and a platform which they can actually show their worth if they're interested in sport or if they have talent in sport. And socially, it's a great thing. It's for, you know, it's to get our youth out, you know, to use their energy to sort of, everyone sits at home, right? Doing nothing, whatever. Yes, there's the esports is a great thing that's happening at the moment. So that's a brilliant thing that's going on. But then, you know, it's great to go out there to provide more sort of grounds that are sort of, we've got 12, we've got a high performance centre that we're looking at, and 12 academies that is in the process of being built. So
within the universities, right?
Within the universities. So this is a great thing as well. So when you do find talent, they've got somewhere to go. So
that's exactly something which I want to pick up on. So I'll move on to Dr. Saab for this one as well. And I have talked about it previously, but I think since we are going out in 46 different countries, it's really important to highlight what the incumbent government is doing for the engagement of youngsters as well, for their well-being. So now, sir, coming down to the point where we are actually talking about that the High Performances Center and the facilities will be built within universities, because we are in contract with the Higher Education Commission as well. It's brilliant, but imagine not everybody gets to go to the university. So we are talking about sports, and majority of the sportsmen we have over here in Pakistan have hardly been to schools as well. You know, let's be very honest, because they have a very sheer kind of dedication towards their sport and an ambition, and so obviously they cannot study and then play at the same time if you are aiming for a gold medal for Pakistan. So imagine, how do you think those universities are actually going to accommodate all of those students, because the universities won't let any other person be within the university premises if, God forbid, they are not an enrolled student, number one. Number two, universities, when we talk about them, obviously you have to be at a certain age to enroll in universities. What about the students who are actually 15 years old or 13 or 16? So how do you think that we are going to provide this opportunity to all of those youngsters who are out there, rather than some attending universities or not universities?
Thank you very much, Shahzad, for this question. Actually, the program is implemented by the Higher Education Commission, but the talent hunt drive, every Pakistani between the age of 15 years to 25 years can register himself or herself and give the trials. So he can give the trials, and if he or she has the talent, she can be picked up for the regional competition, then for the national level competitions. And then they will be connected to these sports academies. And these sports academies will be open to all the players, not just for the university students. In the academies, we are also developing and building a hostel over there. So if young boys or talented boys or girls from other cities, they can also come over there and they can stay over there. So we are trying to create that enabling environment, and we are very you mentioned this point that, okay, we have a huge population and not everyone is in the university. So these academies will also cater for those young kids who are out of university students.
Wow, and that's wonderful. So obviously there will be mechanisms. So, you know, please, dil na chota kare, and, you know, it will be for all of you as well. Very quickly, I want to go back to Asaf over here. So now we were talking about vocational training. You told us how many universities and centers there are and how many 150 different courses. Yes, wow, that's wonderful. But what about people who've actually gotten through that vocational training process? Do you think that they were able to capitalize it and make their place within the job market?
Under the skills training, we have 4 components. The one is the high-end, high-tech component. Then there is a conventional component. Then there is one component for apprenticeship training, the training which we offer in the industry. And there is one more component, as you know, in our system, 70% of the workforce is trained through Ustad Shagir system. Like for example, if I am a mechanic, so I will learn those skills through some Ustad or some trainer. Yeah.
Right.
So this is a comprehensive program.
Right.
And most of the trainees from the high-end trainings, they basically opt for the freelancing.
Yep.
And for the conventional training, most of the trainees, you know, either they start their own businesses or they go for employment, like in hospitality sector or in
whichever
other
vocational
service
training
sector.
course
Yes.
they went for relevancy.
Yeah, and for the trainees who get training from apprenticeship system, they are mostly absorbed in the industries where they get training.
Wow.
And the trainees who get certification and assessments through this RPL system, this Ustad Shagir system, they already working in the industry, so they get better opportunities in the industry. So that's how, you know, this whole scheme is basically.
But you know, you're sharing so many good news with us, and you know, why don't you carry a smile on your face? You say it with such a serious face that it looks like as if, okay, is it a good news or do I have to think over it again?
Okay, Shahzad, everyone does not have such an amazing amount of energy.
But you know, but he's smiling right now. He's smiling right now.
Okay.
And I think one of the beauty of the Kamyab Jawan program is that these initiatives, they complement each other.
True.
Like you can acquire those skills and then you can apply for business loan as well. So you can start your own company or your own business.
Wow.
Right, right. So I wanted to ask this question, and any one of you can answer that. You know that we know that sports, provide for a very positive outcomes, but not necessarily always. The research has pointed out that it's a positive outcome because players could feel alienated. They might feel vulnerable in a team. Do you, in your sports Kamyab Jawan program in Sports Drive, face such kind of issues? Do you address that too?
I don't think so, because we're still forming teams right now. So that's the next challenge.
It's a learning process.
Right.
I think it like when we will identify the talent, then we will make their 7 regional teams.
Right.
They will compete with each other first within each province, like on divisional basis. Like in Punjab, they will have the divisional teams who will compete with each other, and then they will become one team representing the whole province. So then they will compete in the national level competition. So it's a learning process. I think our young people need such kind of opportunities where they can learn and how to have this team spirit.
I think it's wonderful, and thank you very much for pointing it out as well. But let me move on to Anila now. So Anila, you happen to be the project lead or program lead yourself. So imagine over here in Pakistan, I'm sorry that I have to say it, but ladies and gentlemen, only when we recognize our faults and problems, only then we can have a resolve. So which is why I'm going to put this question straight up, and that is that, there's always this divide in between the privileged background and the underprivileged as well. So imagine, the bus is going somewhere for whatever reason, may it be kabaddi, may it be wrestling, may it be any other sport, and the trials are supposed to take place. So if I happen to be from a privileged background and I want to make sure that I want to be the part of the regional team, I will surely ask my father or somebody, hey, Abu, please, kisi ko call kar de, you might know so many people. So imagine if Ismandar Sahib is going to instruct you that, hey, Anila, you know what, I want this boy in the team. I don't know whether he's going to do it or not. I don't think so. But it's just a question, hypothetically, how do you guys ensure merit that, okay, something of that sort is not going to happen on the very grassroots level?
So the great thing about Kamyab Jawan is that it is all about transparency. Whatever
How do you ensure
program
that?
you look at, you go to our website, we have got dashboards that are made for each program.
Yeah.
And so we've got a dashboard that's just been made for the sports program.
True.
And so what happens is that every athlete then puts his information on this dashboard.
How do you make sure that the information provided is correct?
Everything is then analysed. You write your NADRA card and everything, CNIC.
No, we do not have any
everything is
record of what sport I played, because I played basketball for HEC, won an award, but then my NIC is not going to share that with anybody.
No, but basically that's just to ensure that you know who that person is.
That's
right?
true.
You know how old that youth is.
But the question is different over here. I'm not talking about the age. What I'm talking about is, for example, if I was there for the weightlifting trial, I couldn't do a better job.
Right.
But I still had connections and I got into the team.
Right.
How do you ensure that the right person will get the right opportunity?
We have got like a selection committee team that's there at every level.
And you make sure that you kind of keep them asking these tough questions. That,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and they're independent.
So the scrutiny is there.
Scrutiny is there, and then what happens is, I'm just going to go back to the dashboard. So you have all the athletes that have been engaged in these sports. They've got all the information down in the dashboard. So all the data is there. And so anybody, and then it's going to be available on, publicly available. So if you want to check if this child has.
So I can do that.
You can do that,
Wow,
yeah.
wonderful.
And then it would also tell you what sport they got what medal in.
Wow.
And then you can actually see the journey of the athlete from that point to maybe, inshallah, if he does become the next Babar Azam, to see where he then goes in
See,
the
again,
next
we
5
have an
years.
example from cricket. Yeah, that's wonderful. Everybody wants to be Babar Azam these days as well. But very quickly, obviously, so it's a good thing. It's you guys have done a great job. Obviously, under the leadership of Usman Dar Sahab and him under the leadership of Prime Minister Imran Khan Sahab as well. But let me ask you, which sport did you guys play?
I used to play badminton. I was the champion of my Multan board.
Really?
And,
Oh, that's nice.
Wow, that's fantastic. For how long did you play? And do you play it still?
Not now, but I used to play when I was in school and
Right.
college.
And you were good at it.
Yeah.
आज अब अच्छे challenge करते हैं. Something like that. Wow, wonderful. Anila, what about you?
So because I was born and brought up in the UK, basically we were playing sport from the age of 4, right?
Right.
So I had to become, and as you grow up in high school and then university, I was part of the hockey team, I was part of the netball team, and I was also a 100 meters runner, so yeah.
Wow.
But that
Wow,
was
that's
back in the day.
fantastic. So imagine, this is something which I wanted to hear as well, because back
Right.
in the UK, ladies and gentlemen, that's how they groom their kids, and they make sure
Right.
that, that they have this studies, obviously, and even the studies are not burdening as well,
Right.
that, hey, what, kal ye yaad karke aana hai. And, kids like me, we cannot memorize it. In fact, all we can do is just make stories from our own mind and then be like, hey, sir, that's what I came up with. So it was great. What about you, sir?
Well, when I was in school, I was part of the cricket team.
You still look so young that, even if you tell somebody that you're still in college, everybody will believe. So you used to play football?
No, I was
Cricket?
cricket, yes.
Cricket, so you, which position, for example?
I was a bowler, fast bowler.
You were a bowler, fast bowler? Why would you say you were a bowler? Why don't you still play cricket?
Because it's been a long time that I haven't been in the ground, so...
But since I have a cricket academy myself, so you're more than welcome if one day you guys want to do that. But towards the end, sir, if you want to wrap it up or if there's anything we have missed out on, please go ahead, share.
No, I just want to say thank you, and I want to say to our young people that, look, we are the young people, you are the majority of this country, and we need to empower you, and you need to look for the political empowerment. That I want our young people to participate in the electoral process and cast their vote.
True.
And that is how they can have the responsive governments who think that we need to deliver, we need to do something for our young people. Unless you don't exercise your that power, you cannot be empowered. So 18 to 35 years, more than 46% of our total registered votes are between this age group. Wow. So they are the decisive factor.
Right.
So you need to know your strength and you need to exercise that strength, and only then you can be empowered, truly empowered.
Wow, wonderful. What about you, Anila? And at the same time, I want you to kind of speak about how, the Kamyab Jawan sports drive is even holistically or equally kind of contributing towards women empowerment.
Yeah, it's played a huge, basically even in our team, Dar Sahab has empowered women by having 2 leads as well, and 2 female leads. And then giving the opportunity for women to take part in all these sports just as much as the male. So there's nothing better than that. So so I would just tell all the girls to come and register and to take part. You're just as good as every other male. So,
That's
please do.
wonderful. So what about you, Adil?
Well, I would just say that the skills program is really, empowering youth.
And how can we register for the skills program?
Well, every year we announce admissions twice in a year. Like the last admissions were announced in January, and now the next admissions will be announced in July or August.
All right.
So the youth can go to our portal, that is kamyabjawan.gov.pk. They can register their courses in which they are interested. So
and have a healthy and wealthy life. That's where we started, ladies and gentlemen. So all of these things will definitely contribute towards your well-being, your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and all of these things do matter. When we talk about sports, obviously it has to do quite a lot with discipline as well.
And Shahzad, I think the most important example that we have is Prime Minister Imran Khan. You know, look how he was a sportsman, and from there, you know, he struggled for the country and he became the Prime Minister. And remember, you know, my brother used to say back in, you know, when he was in matric in FSC, he used to say to my mom that I don't want to study further, I would just want to play cricket, and I want to be a cricketer like in Imran Khan. Wow. So my mom used to say, no, you know, take inspiration from him. He went to Oxford. He was studying there. At the same time, he was involved in the, you know, county cricket clubs, right? Wow. And from there, you know, he had a struggle. He was in the social work too, and then he came to politics and now became a prime minister. So, you know, do not just focus on one aspect of it. Yeah. That, you know, you just want to play cricket and you don't want to deviate from your studies. I
think if there's anything which I would want to do, you know, or probably, you know, I might have taken influence from Prime Minister Imran Khan is be the Prime Minister. That's what it is. Well, all right, thank you very much to the entire team of Kamyab Jawan program. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for taking our time, and thank you very much for being so cooperative. Spandar Sahab, I think it's your turn now. They've done a great job, you know, and you certainly have promised us that you will be on the show. So inshallah next week somewhere, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be over here as well. But for now, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's World This Morning. Instagram is PTV World This Morning. Make sure that you write to us, because every single day we try to give you the best we have as well. We try to share it with you all as well. Thank you very much, Hajar, for being so kind. And for everybody who's out there, please make sure that you remember us in your prayers. It's Jummah today. May it be Jummah or may it not be Jummah. Just remember me, my entire team in your prayers. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.